sorry about that. That's just one of those things that happen. Technology, my technology just crashed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry
we're
about
all
that.
waiting patiently. We'll have a whiskey in the meantime.
Thank you. Because one of the questions I wanted to ask as well, but not everyone that is here that we did last week was discussing our fears. So I thought you could chat amongst each other. Let me just get my camera back on. Bloody hell. The joys. Remember, Patricia, when I said to you, I'm having 2 days where everything's going wrong. Well, I'm having those 2 days. The joys of life. Okay, so I was going to start with chatting with everyone before I was so rudely interrupted by technology. Oh, goodness me. Where's my, oh, I must get my presentation going. Is about lead generation. So I asked the question last week in the chat group, the WhatsApp group. If you're not part of the group, let me know so I can put you on the group if you're interested, because we'd like to start asking questions and engaging with each other about lead generation and what have you done. So far, some of you mentioned that you've past and existing clients, and you've done a couple of things with regards to social media, etc., etc. So just let me open the floor a bit. Let's talk about lead generation. What have you done? So what do you actively do with your lead generation? How do you generate leads? Anyone? Sorry,
Are you asking us?
I'm just trying to get everything open. Sorry, just give me a moment to get everything back open because my computer shut down. Okay, so Teresa's joined us. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you with us, Teresa. But she can't activate a video. Sometimes there's internet connection issues. So if everyone can just please tell me a little bit about the lead generation that they do, so we can just have a bit of an insight.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Patricia.
Hi, yes. Sorry, I can't see my glasses. I'm waiting for them because I can't see a thing on your screen.
Okay, no worries.
No, lead generation at the moment for the non-profit is still via sharing the catalog in the groups and local groups, because we don't keep stock on hand. We order weekly and we deliver weekly for the people around. So basically it's just a very small community that we've done, because we're still trying to arrange that we can have consignment stock to sell and pay every 7 days at least at maximum time.
And is
but
this
it's not building results as it should be.
Okay, and is this on Facebook, for example?
No, just on WhatsApp and Telegram in our direct community.
Okay. All right, so sharing adverts or catalogs and things like that, for example, in groups like that may not be the way to go, because normally these groups are designed, like if people have WhatsApp groups and stuff, it's normally generally for announcements, or it's generally to engage within the group or to have conversations. So that's probably why a lot of people tend to ignore those things. It's like when you join a group on Facebook. You know those groups on Facebook, for example, where they have business groups and people are posting their adverts and they're posting their catalogs and things for sale. People generally just sit past it because that's not how people generate leads or network or kind of want to use that group for that purpose, if that makes sense. So
yes, it does, but these are all specific buy and sell groups that I belong to.
Yes.
And although I've had clients buying, I know the products are cheaper than you can get anywhere else. It's still been quiet. So it's been on a specific buy and sell group within the community.
But that's what I'm saying. Even those buy and sell groups, whether people belong to them, people generally don't, because it's become, how do I explain it to you? It's like Yes, I know about those buy and sell groups, and they've all just got adverts on them. And because they just got adverts on them, I don't pay attention to them. How many of you pay
Yes.
attention to those groups?
Romani,
When I'm
if I
searching
can just,
something,
Yes, Rian?
um, when we started the sneeze screens, I mean, the majority of the stuff that we do is word of mouth and through my network of existing clients. And when we started doing the sneeze screens, which was lockdown started March, we did the designs in April. We physically started producing and making the COVID screens in end of April, beginning May. And I contacted a few of my big corporates because a lot of our existing clients is individuals, you know, that come for the odd thing. I contacted some of the bigger corporates, and none of them, not one single one of them, with the exception of two, bought 4 screens each. Every single other screen that we sold was as a result of my posts on Facebook and on the various groups. I mean, there was people that I didn't know from a bar of soap that would phone me at like 11, 12 at night and say, please, 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 I need a screen. So for me there, the Facebook marketplace and the various groups that I belong to was absolutely a complete lifesaver. You know, if it wasn't for that, I don't know how we would have been able to sell the screens at all.
Good, good.
So
That's good
I
to
do
but
know.
believe there
Facebook
is some
groups,
value in it. Some people do, you know, look at it.
I think markets are good.
Yeah, and a lot of the pre-COVID, the wedding request that we got was also as a result of stuff that I put on the various Facebook groups. So I was very happy with that. So I know a lot of people, you know, don't want to post this stuff there, but I regularly post on the groups, and that's how I get a lot of good response.
Look, it's not I'm not saying it's not to post on there. For example, the marketplace works very well for a lot of people. So utilize that if you can. The marketplace, I find people get generally very good results, and especially if you've got products to sell. If you join just those business groups where they have a lot of things, people do sift through them, and you just got to basically make sure your content is standing out good enough like yours. It was a need in the marketplace. People were looking for Perspex screens. So it was a need, very much a need in the marketplace. So for that, then it would work really, really well. But if you've got something like another product, like for example, Teresa, I'm guessing is doing more animal related products. So animal groups, that kind of thing would probably support, but just have that kind of balance. And then one has to look at what it is that you are giving out. So if it's a PDF catalog, not everybody's going to want to open up a PDF catalog. So sometimes you have to create like a banner ad so that people say, contact me if you're looking for XYZ. Then it stands out, simple, short and sweet. But if you're posting PDF documents or things that people, too much wording, it blows people off. And I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. What other ways are you generating leads? Anyone?
For me, generating leads was really from expos that we did, especially the bridal expos, the mommy and the me expos, where it was a 2 or a 3-day expo where I was able to display some of the stuff that we do, and then people would actually come to the expo, talk to me, you know, find out more information. I'd give them a business card. I would give them a little form to fill in so I could also then follow up, which was pre-COVID also. It worked brilliantly, but since COVID started, there has been not one single expo. So, yeah, I can't wait to get back into that market. For me personally, I prefer to rather speak to people face to face than, you know, to just do an online campaign and say I do this or I do that. Because with like with the expos, especially if I an example, a bridal expo, I would take 10 minutes, establish what the bride or the bride to be is looking for. Yes, I can help you. No, I can't help you. If I can help you, set up a meeting, take it further. If I can't help you, don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste your time. Go to the next person that can help you.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned some of the things that you mentioned, because one of the things that I've noticed that a lot of people are very used to offline marketing, offline network, offline lead generation, whether it be attending networking events, whether it be cold calling, whether it be, like you say, doing expos. And when I looked at what everybody's needs were in terms of what you wanted to know more about, there were three things that stood out, which was generating leads, marketing, and brand development. Now, when you're looking at generating leads online, especially in the online space, and these are the different ways you can, for example, generate leads, whether it be cold calling, newspapers, referral business, video. One of the things, couple of things that I want to enhance on is the social media, business referral, video, articles, everything, because all of it entwines. No matter which way you look at it, whether you wanting to generate leads, whether you're wanting to develop your brand, or whether you're looking for ways to market yourself, all these things intertwine so closely together, because if you don't understand your customer inside and out, upside and down, if you don't know what your brand stands for, then you don't know what content to write. If you don't know what who your customers are, where they hang out, what they do, then you don't know how to write content to get to that customer. If you don't know how what your brand represents, then you don't know which groups to join or which activities to participate in. So everything kind of forms together, very closely knitted together. And so what I'm saying is, so when you walk away from each of these sessions, because I know I've covered profiling, so for example, and that's why I'm so sticky about you completing your profile. Go and complete your profile on Venture Connectors as a practice session so that you can enhance it, make it look nice, and then you take little bits of that and you start putting it on your LinkedIn page or on your Facebook page, so that people can kind of gain an insight as to who you are and what you do. If we discuss things like mindset, what did you do in the last 2 weeks to make a change to that mindset? Has it improved for you? What has happened? Take something away that you can work on as a side element of your business, because they all tie in together. If you don't feel confident about marketing yourself, you're not going to market yourself successfully. If you're not keen on someone, Brett, I think it was, hates cold calling, but he has to cold call and he'd like to overcome that fear. How do we help Brett, or even everybody else, I hate cold calling, overcome that fear? So that, because if it's in the mind, and I've seen this time and time again with myself, where I attend some meetings and I want to close the deal, but I'm so nervous that subconsciously the other person can see, I know I can do the work inside out, upside down, but for some reason I get nervous, and I could pick up from the other side that they were picking that subconsciously. And so they decided to go with someone else because the other person obviously was confident and knew what they were doing. So all these things tie in very, very closely together. And I'll show you how that works in a bit of a moment. So when we're looking at lead generation, you've got to look at your brand message. Who are you? What do you stand for? Because that will help you determine where you hang out. It will help you determine who you connect with. It would help you, and it will also start getting people to attract to you. I've seen this recently now because I've become a little bit more controversial. I never used to be very controversial in my online presence because, you know, it's not done in business, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, bugger it, I'm going to go for it because my heart and my message is there. It's part of who I am. It's something I've been studying for most of my life, some of the concepts that I study, which can come across very controversial. I took that step. And what has been interesting is now I'm attracting a lot of people who are like-minded in my thinking, like-minded in the views that I have. and we're starting to engage in conversations. And like you, Rian, I connect with a lot of strangers online who we becoming friends, or we end up talking to each other, or we end up connecting with each other at a different level. I mean, there's some people I'm connected with I've never met in my life, but we made very good friends online. There's a guy from Zimbabwe. I really enjoy chatting with him. Bruce, very intelligent guy. We have really intense, deep conversations. I've never met him in person, but we have something that we share common. So knowing who you are, knowing who your customers, knowing who you are looking for is very vital. So if I had to ask you to really detail, I know some of you would be able to answer this question, but if I had to ask you this question, what is your customer interested in? Do you know? Do you know their interests? Like if I had to look at this room today, I can pretty much gauge or even say to you, I know what Patricia is interested in. I know what Sean's interested in. I know what Sean likes. I know what Sean dislikes. I know what, even you, Rihanna, we haven't met each other. We haven't known each other that long. But you have seen the level of connection we have started to build. We engage with each other. We talk to each other. So I'm getting to understand you more. And by learning to understand who you are and what you're about, I can now sit back and go, how can I support Rian in a way that, you know, that I, in my capacity to be able to support you. And when you're looking at your existing customers, your past customers, your future customers, that's kind of the element or the situation that you want to take going forward, because that's how you're going to stand out or be remembered. You know, there's a good saying that says that a lot of business happens on the golf course. It doesn't happen in the boardroom. It happens on the golf course. It happens because you're playing a rugby game together, or it happens because you've gone and attended an event together. So how can you you know, how can you connect with potential customers? And yes, the business might not happen today, but it will happen maybe. I mean, like I've shared with you, Ursula, I mean, she attended the very first social media workshop, and Grant, that was going to attend today, also attended the very first, well, the one in Cape Town that I ran on social media, and then I ran one in Johannesburg, where they both attended. And Ursula, I mean, she kept in touch once or twice, but she never really, whatever. And 12 years later, she became my customer. And just the other day, she referred me now to someone else, which I'm now doing work for. So it really is about really personally, deeply connecting. But now in a busy world where we don't have time to attend everybody's things and go and visit and do this, the online space creates an amazing platform where we can engage and talk to each other, whether it be on WhatsApp, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be in a group, whether it be in any kind of space that people feel comfortable in or hanging about. And I'll show you what I did, and I'll give you an examples at the moment how that comes together. So the other thing that you want to think about as well is like, what synergies, what opportunities do you have amongst each other? How can you help each other? How can you collaborate together? So if I look at you, Rian, I've heard James invited you, and I'll be now bluntly open. I'll be bluntly open. James invited you because you've got a very big network, and he thought that you could be very beneficial to being part of this venture that we want to put together. And this venture that we're putting together is largely to do with networking, so we can network, so we can learn from each other. And maybe next week Sean has a session to chat, or maybe Patricia has, whichever. You know, if you say to me, hey, I want to present this, please tell me. I don't want to sit and present every single week. Because this is not my thing. It was always designed to be a collective thing, and it was always meant to be a way to help each other generate an income. Because as I've explained in meetings before, we've got to start looking at having multiple income streams, not just one income stream. We can't be dependent just on our businesses, because as many people experience who have been only dependent on one business, when you know things started shutting down, now they're in trouble. So with you and your big network, how can you and I collaborate? For example, if you've got sales, you can invite people. I know you spoke to Grant mentioned it to me. which I'm grateful for. And so, yes, how do we nurture that and how do we make that work? And you've invited Teresa to come and join. So now the next step is, how do we start building membership so that everybody gets to benefit and so everybody can earn income? Because ultimately this was created as almost like a business partnership where you get 40% and 50% goes into venture connectors so that we can pay for the platforms, pay for the tools, pay for the support that we need to make it work. When I looked at Patricia, so this is when you look at hearing what I'm saying. Now think about your own businesses and how can you help your own people to benefit and support. And that's why I thought I'd invite Patricia, because she's a life coach. She can bring a lot to benefit the group as a whole. So when you're looking at your existing customers, your future customers, your past customers, go and revisit all of them. Go and reconnect, even if it's pop in, hey, hi, I'm checking in on you. How are you doing? What have you been up to? Make that take an hour of your time to go and message people on Facebook or sit with them on WhatsApp and just say, hi, I'm checking in with you. How are you doing? I think that and for me, in the last few months, that has spoken volumes to the other person, because right now a lot of people are going through really difficult times, challenging times, and just that message of someone actually cares seems to be a very powerful message. And that's a form of lead generation, because ultimately we only do business with people we like, people we know, people we trust. We also only do business, or we only give interest to people that we feel will benefit us, or we benefit us, if I can put it bluntly. We spend time with people we like, people we benefit from. I mean, if just think about it and break it down in your own mindset, it is really just that. Any questions at this stage? I'm throwing out a proportion here after that breakdown of my computer game. So that is the question. So my question to you again would be, how would you be able to, through this, help other people? And you do this by commenting on people's posts. That's how you meet new people. I'm going to show you an example of what I've done so that you can start seeing how that works, how you start creating content, how you start building your brand through conversations that you have with other people. Join interest groups, and not just what is your interest. I belong, I'm just going to mute, guys, just make sure you're muted. So I've joined many interest groups, from extreme interest groups to people that want to leave, separate South Africa, because I want to understand the mindset, and I'm also looking for ways to interest them. I'm in an immigration group, pets leaving South Africa. And then there was something about Unity South Africa. I'm part of that group. I spot, because I'm looking for opportunities to get involved in a conversation. And the more I start a conversation, or the more, and I find places to engage in a comment. So I'll give an example. I'm part of the Restaurant Associations group on Facebook, and they've been having a lot of conversations about being shut down. They've had a lot of conversations about the lockdown and what government is doing. And the other day, I can't remember, they were talking about some announcement that Ramaphosa made. And, just sitting and understanding the future trends and understanding where the world is headed and what is wanting to be achieved. Like, as I mentioned to you over and over again, key dates to watch out for is 2025 and 2030. Overseas, I mean, there's not going to, I think in the UK, is it UK or America? It could be wrong. But I think there's going to be just self-driving cars. It's going to be no other cars on the road by 2030 in a lot of places overseas. So how do you change and adapt for that world coming? So as I mentioned, so join those interest groups, find those conversations. So in the restaurant group, I kind of understood that it's kind of a dying trade in terms of, will it really survive? Will it just be fast food companies that stay alive? understanding what's happening in China and how China is busy taking over much of the industry, much to buying out all businesses, how much businesses, I mean, they already own Hollywood. How does this factor in? So I wrote a comment based on what I felt and I saw. And from that comment, and let me show you what I did there. I can't unfortunately show you the group because I can't find my way after that interruption. But let me just screen share here and show you what I did with it. So I posted a long comment in that group, and people were like, yes, and understanding and agreeing with me and blah, blah, blah. But then I read and think about it. Every comment that you post online is building your digital footprint. Every comment that you post online is helping you raise your visibility, build your brand awareness. So make time to do that, because you can generate leads. People do connect with you. So in the initial time, as most of you know, I work with the Franchise Association. So just before lockdown, I was already starting. I thought, how can I help the association get more exposure? How can I help the association generate visibility for their members? So I started doing live events. And out of that live event, immediately, one of the guys in the UK, Sean, posted a comment, hey, great to connect with you, blah, blah, blah. A few short weeks later, I saw that they started hosting live events. He invited me to join the group, and now we're in connection. Now we're in a position to collaborate. Now I'm in a position where they have invited, there's options for me to come and speak at their events or come and do or something if I want to build that relationship further. Same with this conversation that I want to go back with. Let me just screen share quickly. Where are we? Zoom. Got to find Zoom and just screen share quickly. Let's go here. So coming back to that conversation in that group that I had with Rasa, I ended up turning that into a blog post, which I posted on this site. So yeah, assess, regroup, and prepare. So from that comment, I thought, and this I've been doing for a long time. And what's good about commenting, engaging in comment, especially if you're looking to learn how to write articles or how to understand how to write articles, spend time commenting on stuff, because you will find, and that's what's been for me, is I'll comment and then people will either comment back and I go, that's not actually kind of what I was intending to share. And then I go, then it kind of improves your writing skills. It kind of shows you how the mistakes that you made and how can you reverse. I would look at the comments and I go, okay, that's not kind of how I could actually, if I change that wording, move that around, then yes, it would make more sense. So out of that comment, I wrote this article about regrouping, reassessing, which I posted on my own on this site. So this site is one of the sites that we are going to look at when we start looking at blogs and article writing, that we're all going to come together, where I'm going to give an opportunity for each one of you to come and write articles on here, because from here, you can then post it in other places. You can also post it on your own website. You can post it. That's how you extend your digital footprint. So for example, I sometimes write articles for the association. So I'll publish them on my website, and then I'll go and publish them on the association's website, because it's all about building your digital footprint and raising your visibility. That way people can get a sense of who you are, what it is you're about. But again, it comes back to your brand personality, your brand culture, who you are, what it is that you stand for. So in Teresa's case, Teresa could be sharing tips and ideas of how to look after your animals. Rather than posting just catalog stuff and things that you're wanting to sell, start sharing animal tips, how to look after your pets better. I mean, the other day, my poor dog was kind of like choking on something, and it made me realize how that I need to go and learn medical aid for dogs, so that in case I'm in that situation, I know what to do so that I don't have to panic, because this happened like at 1 o'clock in the morning. So this is one of the articles, for example, that I wrote, and it's based on factual. I found the YouTube clips because these are the stuff that I've been researching, looking into. I understand the subject matter, and I wrote an article on this. So now you can refine that article and tailor it for every specific audience. So let's say, for example, I wanted to post this on Biz Community. I can then now retailor this article and go and become an author and post it on, on Biz Community, for example. So then those are called authorships. So Robin, answering your question to article writing, this is how you start your process of article writing. Then you can bring in, because it's franchise in a box, which is a good name. Now you can invite contributing authors, invite other people to come and write on your website so that you generate the traffic and start building and extending your reach further. Another example I want to give you. So let's go, for example, this is this article. What have you got to lose? This was a conversation I had with a friend of mine who was going through a difficult time, and she was, you know, and I practice, as you know, I practice mental rehearsal, I practice things of the mind, and I asked, and in that conversation, and that was exactly what she said, please excuse me, how will it work? And in my response to her, I started writing a whole response to her, and she said, gosh, Romany, you've given me a lot to thought about. So now what I could do is I could take that conversation and turn it into an article. Because a lot of the times when you sit there and you think, oh gosh, what am I going to write? What am I going to put out there? It's difficult to start something. But having a conversation with someone on WhatsApp, it triggers the ideas, it triggers the thought process. And then you can take it and put it into the blog post and go back and retweak it, rewrite it, tailor it, interest. So for example, I added this image because I know that's something that Wayne Dwyer has mentioned. I can go and find the rest of the stuff, like in another article where I'm using Max Planck's quote about quantum physics and the mind of matter, and that everything is just energy. So then you can start bringing in other pieces of content. And this is all about, it contributes to lead generation. And what's nice is that things that I've posted years ago forms part of my digital footprint. So I don't have to go advertising myself. Yes, I can promote myself, and yes, I could actively go and advertise myself like other people do, but I kind of base, because I'm not needing to go and find business per se, I can just leave my digital footprint there and build it and build it and build it going forward. Does that make sense? Has anybody got any questions at this point? Somebody's trying to join the room, so just give me a chance to find where that screen is. So if you're not seeing anybody, then that doesn't help. Okay, no questions at this point. So then I'm going to come to...
Actually, I do want to ask one question.
Okay, Robin.
Just a question on article writing. Does it have to be relevant to what you do, or can it be of any sort of subject matter?
You know, that is a good question. It kind of like, on my own business site, Romany Thresher, I tend to tailor my content very related to social media, online, things that you need to know about online. And this is why it's also good. So then I started this site because there was another side of me where I could share articles related to outside of it. But sometimes you can merge them together. It's just really about, so in your instance, you could talk about franchising in the future. What is, you know, your people need to understand the future trends of what's going to happen in the world. So articles related to that kind of topic would work very well. And then, yes, off chance you could. It just depends on what it is you're writing, because we are ultimately humans at the end of the day. It just depends on how you want your brand to be perceived in the online world. Does that make sense? So what would you want to write about?
Well, in my world, the franchising world is full of pitfalls, and a lot of people don't realize it. And the personal problems that they have as well is often they're not coping because they don't understand it and they don't know how to deal with it. And often a lot of problems get solved by solving the personal issues more than what it is on the business issues. So I've been wondering if that's not what I should discuss on the website.
That is perfect. So in your instance, that is very relevant because if you look at the franchise world as a whole, most of it is very corporate and very structured, as you would have seen. So, you know, and often they forget that we are humans. So those kind of topics would make a lot of sense to write about. It would actually set you aside from everybody else in the franchise world. So those are good topics to write about. I mean, I was speaking to someone today who was saying to me exactly almost a similar thing. For example, sustainability, that kind of thing is what they're really struggling with, coping, pitfalls. Yeah, go for it, write about it, and then take those articles, publish them on your website, and then when your membership is finalized, then now you send it through to us, and then we post it on the faster side, and then you've got even more exposure. You see, that's how you start extending your reach. Then you take those very same articles, because even though as a franchise business, you might not be coping in the pitfalls, small business has the same challenges. So then you take those very articles and target it, change the language, the use of the words, and publish it for small business entities because they would gain value out of that knowledge at the same time. And then I take it even one step further. You and I could, for example, have an interview and talk about these conversations, because you have to consider that in marketing, there's big picture people, there's people that are auditory, there are people that love to read stuff, and people that love to see. So you want to cater for every kind of segment of the market.
Just a question there, on the social media marketing, would you then put your articles on that side as well, or would you separate that as a different type of marketing?
Say that again?
If you're writing articles, it would be on your website or
Yes.
some other place. But do you actually convey that in your social marketing as well?
Yes, you do. You must, because it's the only way you're going to market your business, especially when you're talking about Google ranking, especially when you're talking about how to get traffic to your website. Once you've published it on your website, you share it through to all your social media channels. Normally, the goal is you start with your website, share it to social media, because like I've always said for many, many years, should Facebook shut their doors, all your content is gone. So your content is your IP, your content is your property, it's your most valuable commodity. You want to house it on your website first and foremost. Protect your content and then share it across to every other channel as a secondary option. So something I'm going to show you now quickly, and I'm going to take Thor.
Romany, can I interrupt there?
Yes.
Just would it not be better on social media, for example, to start with a two-liner or one sentence or two sentences to draw the people back to your website?
Yes, that's exactly what you would do, and I'll show you an example of that. Let me show you an example, because that's what I was going to do with Thor. So giving Thor, and I'll give you other examples of how I do it and manage it. I am on screen share, so can everybody see Errol's page? Sorry, because I have to do multiple screens. So here's Errol. Errol hasn't written any articles. I don't think Errol has articles on his website. Nope, but Errol has posted this post here. Right? What can you all, I just want to hear quick comments. What do you think? Let's be honest, because this is what this is about. This is how we're going to help each other. What would be your first impression seeing this post?
Can I answer, Ramani?
Yes.
I think for me the picture itself was gripping. Like it made me look at it, and it's actually quite easy on the eye. However, the wording that was posted with the picture, I feel like I don't know if it's the editing or if it's just too much, but it's a lot
It's a
to
lot.
read through.
It
And I
is.
wouldn't necessarily give it that attention. I would just scroll past it because it's a lot to read.
I love that comment. That would be my same response. If I was giving an assessment, that would be my exact answer. Rian?
Unmute. Yeah, the same. Too much to read, you know. Look, the picture already attracted my attention, so I would give him a call, but I wouldn't bother to read through all of that, especially if I'm in a pickle and the geyser has just burst and I'm quickly looking for somebody to come and help. Oh, I like your picture, I'm going to phone you. I wouldn't even bother to read all of that.
I agree. And I love the picture as well. And I love the tagline, at your door in a flush. I love it. I love it. I think it's very creative. And you could even just have a picture on its own, you know, with a toilet at your door in a flush and start using that as your tagline. Now, with regards to the wording, so if I was you, Errol, try and avoid using capitals. It's difficult for the eye to read. Also, all you can do is then say, got a leak, geyser giving problems, drains and taps and blah, blah, blah. That's it with a picture. That's one piece of content. Tomorrow you post another piece of content. I'm not going to read through all of this, but I'm just going to give you a rough example of what I would do. Then I'd take this. Thor's a registered business in Cape Town, blah, 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 matron table view. Another post with a picture. 2 posts. So that's 2 pieces of content you've now created for the next day. Then you take another one because they don't need to know all this stuff. But what you want to do is segment the conversation so that people can see, oh, little bits and snippets about you. You see, so you don't have to communicate. It's the same with the articles. So if I were to promote an article, let me give you an example of something else. Let's just go to faster because I do most of my work on there. And let me give you Academy of Life. Where are we? So if I was going to post my article on, say, for example, my timelines, it would just be either what have you got to lose, or I would say, just take this piece, just this sentence, and I take it onto Facebook. Where's Facebook now? I don't want to lose these pages. I'm in my mom's account, but I know that's fine. So here we go. I would just post it like that, and then I'd go and grab the link. And that's all I'd post. That's all you'd post. Because the more information but you've got to try and get a gripping title for your piece of content, you see. So if you're looking to mate, and then I'd go, and if I want to reshare this, say, for example, in 2 weeks' time, because this kind of article, because you've got content that is date sensitive or time sensitive, and you've got content that is evergreen, what they call evergreen. And then say in a month's time, I'd go through it again and I'd say, oh, what would stand out here? I don't like how I feared other people. You know, that might just be it, and with the link and post and off I go. So yes, Michaela, that's what you would do. You wouldn't post your whole blog because if you posted your whole blog, then you're going to stop someone from clicking back to your website. And ultimately, the goal is you want someone to click back to your website, to drive traffic to your website.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So what you're basically saying, on your social media, literally have a picture of sorts with a capture that people can understand, but on your website you have the full articles. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And if you observe what I do with the Franchise Association, you would see the same thing. I always take the topic of the article or take a snippet out of the article, paste it, post the article so that people can go back to the website. Because remember, people's attention span is really, really short. So when you're looking at newspaper advertising or you're looking at what they call big picture people, so I fall into the category of big picture people. You have to grab my attention through either the title of the topic or something must stand out for me or make it in big and bold. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Then you've got other people, they want to know the color of the roof and they want to know the chandelier and they want to know the color of the person's t-shirt and what was said. That is called detail people. So that's how newspapers do it. So on the front page of the newspaper, they have lots of headlines with very short snippets. So if something sparks my interest, the title sparks my interest, I'll start reading it and I think, oh, I want to read further. Go to page 3. You see? Because now you're catering to different segments of how people receive information. And on social media, because an attention span is 2 to 4 seconds. So that is, you've got 2 to 4 seconds to make that impression. So the title and the first paragraph of your content must always be gripping and interesting. Any other questions? So if we have a look at Academy of Life Coaching, I like that it's colorful. I like what you're posting. But I'm going to make a comment on this one, this particular post. Why is it not opening here? I don't know if it's the internet. If I keep it, can everyone see the wording? Okay, let's hope. Can you all see the wording? Just go yes or no, because I can't see everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I want opinion and feedback. What would you say is missing out of this post?
Punchline.
Unsure.
Punchline.
Function.
Punchline. Something
Punchline.
that, yeah, something that attracts your eye.
Punchline.
Okay. Punchline. But also, what is it
Something
that
that
actually
attracts your attention. Something that the thing that you see would make you read.
So we know that it's an accredited course. We know that it's in South Africa, but it doesn't really tell you how it's going to benefit me. There's nothing in there that communicates what you're going to do for me, how you're going to solve my problem.
The punchline.
Yeah, the punchline. Yeah.
Sorry.
So the number, which is good. So the number one lesson in marketing is always first work from the end. What is the solution? How am I going to solve your problem? And you need to communicate that in your marketing. So if you were dealing with animals, how are you going to heal? How are you going to benefit? What is the problem that you're going to solve? Are you going to feed them? Are you going to inspire them? Are you going to keep them healthy? In coaching, who are you targeting? Who's the target audience? And how are you going to solve their problem?
But if I might come in here, we find, I like the idea of the punchline, but we do find that static or pictures or adverts, people, we get a lot of people looking at it, you know, it's up since Michaela and Darren has come in. We get 400 or 500 people looking at it, but those are not the people who make contact with coaching, with the online courses, or even in our class courses, because we had to change now with COVID, we had to go into online. What we find is the thing that works here is the recommendation, the personal recommendation. So the mother does the course. Oh, I want all my children to do this course, or it's personal mouth to mouth recommendation that works. We've tried so many things with the print media. Print media attracts attention, but print media doesn't close it. We've also done information sessions. We do a lot of information sessions now with coaching. The facilitators who have the most experience, people want to come to them because they sound like they know what they're talking about. They've had success. And then the new ones, the new facilitators don't have that ability yet, but they don't realize that it's a numbers game. The more information sessions you have, the more people will get acquainted to your style and what you can do for them, what are the benefits of life coaching, and they will make rapport, or they have rapport or contact or connect with that particular facilitator. Remember, we got different facilitators. It's not only myself doing courses, it's a lot of them.
I understand that it's not going to close the deal. Lead generation is not always about closing the deal. It's about lead generation. Lead generation, as I said, you market yourself, you open your funnel, you let people know you exist, but it might take them a year, it might take them 6 months. However, you still have to communicate how you're going to solve their problem. The reason I use some people's services is because they're going to make a change in my life. So as a healer, for example, I need to know that if I need healing, for example, if I need emotional intelligence, for example, I need to know how you're going to help me. I'm just trying to give an example of something I'm struggling, overcome a fear, for example. How are you going to, so even for parents, how you've got to communicate the solution of the outcome. So whether or not they're going to close, you're not going to necessarily close the deal on a pamphlet, but someone like myself might see that and go, and then I'm visiting my friend who's got a child and she said, oh, my child is just acting up and it's got tummy ache and it's not coping. And I say, oh, but you know what? I just saw Life Academy of Life Coaching. They help, if I have to use monkey gymnastics, for example, they deal. If I know of any child, especially between the ages of 1 to 3, I would be recommending monkey gymnastics in a flash because they deal with early child development from a mental capacity. But I know that because that's how they've communicated that in their marketing or and so on. Do you see what I'm saying? So saying, yeah, for example, so yes, it's relevant to say that your South African course and your online coaching, but it's not telling me how you're going to help me. It's not telling me how you're going to solve my problem. I see that I'm going to get 10 modules and there's going to be weekly bars and 8 assessments, but it still doesn't tell me, are you going to help me in my business? Are you going to help me in my personal life? Are you going to help me with my family? There's no communication in that regard. You see?
I hear you. Thank you.
So yeah, there you go. Courses include. That's even a much better one on this post. But then this post again becomes too much wording, too much busyness, too much everything. Rather separate it and post something every day or post something 3 times a week by separating it and making it a little bit less busy because it's just too much information, too busy, and all over the show. You can even just create a post, for example, here, build healthy relationships. So you can write an article about how do I build healthy relationships, publish that on your website. Then you can even make a post that just is a short little snippet that explains building healthy relationships. So a lot of, for example, Patricia, what attracted me to your posts during lockdown is because you were sharing things that gave people something to think about, for example.
I also see an error that we do. We allow our facilitators to post their own adverts, and that shouldn't be. It should go through Michaela, and she should look for the different aspects that we want to show, and it won't then be so wordy, and it won't be, it will then stand out. What's the tagline? What's the benefits, and so on. I don't know, Michaela, what do you say about that?
Exactly. And you'll find that most franchise companies, for example, would have a social media policy where there's a guideline. You would supply the content, you would supply the banners. They can freely post what they post in terms of their own groups and their own lead generation. But yes, it should ideally come from the top, from head office down. See, because even this one, for example.
No, but that's a newsletter. That's not an advert.
Yeah, but then you need to create it differently. It needs to be visible in a different format. Because it's very difficult to read.
Because of the print being, or the font being small? Is that why it's difficult?
A lot of different reasons. A lot of different reasons. Remember, people have only 2 to 4 second attention spans, and they're more entertained about the kitty that's doing something crazy on the internet. So that's the one obstacle you're facing. The other obstacle is if someone's on mobile, it makes it very difficult to try and zoom in. Even here, for me on my own, just looking, I've got my own computer, I set it 100 settings, I can't read that. I would have to open it up and probably zoom in. I can't understand why I can't zoom in on these things today, to give you an example. And then after a while, it just becomes too tired. You just think, oh, it's too much to read. So if it was a newsletter, then you should rather have it in an email format and send it out as a newsletter. Or take little snippets and communicate everything so that you know it's being communicated to what you need. So you see, even now, so that's not because it's your fault or my fault. Right now, it's not even opening. So then I think about it, oh, well, I can't be asked with this. Let me go to the next thing. What's the next thing that's going to entertain me? You see? And that's exactly how people behave in the online world. So the next thing I want to discuss, so those is just hopefully something that's been helpful and useful to you. So the next thing I wanted to chat to you about, so as I mentioned, comment on people's posts. So as you know, we've set up Venture Connectors with the goal of networking, with the goal of helping each other, with the goal of supporting each other, with the goal of helping each other understand the online world, future trends, and to make generate incomes. So my question to you is, I know for a fact Rion engages with me, comments on my stuff, so does Errol, so does Patricia. But my question for you is, have you made friends with each other? Are you commenting on each other's posts? Because that's also part of network development. Give you an example. I comment on Patricia's post. She's been a bit silent lately, or somehow I've been missing the post, but there was a time I was commenting because there were some engaging comments to comment on. And I have met a guy, is it Temi? I don't know. Temba. Now I've connected with Temba. I've never met him. He sounds like a really nice person. We started talking to each other, and now I'm kind of finding out what his interests are, who he's about, with the long-term view to hopefully invite him, because I feel that he could benefit from being part of this group. So who's to say that if Rian is commenting on Patricia's stuff and maybe someone needs product development, and that's something we still need to discuss because I want to understand that side of your business. Who's to say that somebody won't spot and connect with you and start using your service? So this is how we grow connections and get to know each other. And the power of it is that somebody will it's easier to connect with someone you know than with someone that you don't know. I make it a point of trying to connect with people, or I make it a monthly point of trying to meet or connect with at least one stranger online. So you guys should be supporting each other. So I give an example of this. So I have instructed Dima Katzel, because as part of this group, some of us are part of each other's network. So Dimakatso, for example, is in skills development, which is one of our mandates, to help people like Dimakatso and many others who are looking to upskill themselves, especially in the world coming. So she comes regularly to come and do stuff for me. And this is what I'm going to say to you on our membership level, especially the flight plan membership level. Each member will have 5 hours of her time to get practice. So she at the moment is very good at doing the managing database. She's very good at setting up forms. So like these forms that you get at the end to give me feedback, she goes and sets them up for me. On Jot form as well, as I recommended last time. Those are all ways to send stuff to your clients, another way of lead generation. Hi guys, how can we help you? What is it that I can do for you to support you? And just ask a couple of questions for information filing. So she can do that. She can set up newsletters, emails, that kind of thing. So if any of you are in need of extra help or support in that regard, I've connected. So I'm saying to Dimakatso, go and like stuff, everything on Patricia's what Patricia's posting or on her site, which I saw the other day. I forgot to mention to you, Dimakatso, I did spot you liking and sharing something, because that's how you further the reach. And the reason I did that was because I know that Dimakatso lives in the township, which is primarily the market where Patricia wants to impact. And so I've made that connection between the two of them. So how can they collaborate, network and stuff? So now Patricia's offered that Dimakatso can go and say, try coaching, because at the moment, she's still trying to figure out what is it that she would like to do with her life, where she would like to work, where she would excel at. And so by Dimakatso joining Patricia's training course, we can now develop Dimakatso's social media skills further, show her how to extract content that can be used for marketing, for online, to enhance Patricia's business. And that would be workable for anyone else. So Leanne's also just recently joined me because she worked with me many years ago. So she's very good at graphics, very good at stuff. So I'm busy trying to get her to understand certain tools. I've given her a whole bunch of stuff that I've got software and tools. She must go and figure it out. And so when she's ready with that, then that would be another kind of add-on service, because a lot of the times as business owners, we do a lot of our own marketing, but we can't always do it all. And sometimes it's just nice to have that little bit of relief to say, hey, can you create this graphic for me? Hey, can you do that for me? And so on and so on. That was part of the skills development mandate that we'd set up initially for this venture. But what it's going to be, as you know, there's 2 membership levels. The Launchpad member, where you've got self-help, you can join, attend these events. And then you've got the flight plan membership, which I'm busy working on, where we will do video interviews and do a whole lot more and provide member support. So that's it pretty much for today, I think. Anyone got any other questions you want to ask me? So make a point of joining interest groups, check in with people, find out how they're doing, because that's how you're going to help each other. That's how you're going to find out. And then maybe it's a reminder. It's also, oh, yes, I forgot so-and-so. Oh, most of the time you do. You forget about people in your network. And you go, oh, yes, and it's so nice of you to reconnect. And the next time they've got a problem, they're going to use you rather than someone else. Almost likely, just depends.
Sorry, just one question on the comments and sharing. Is that on the Facebook posts of your business profile?
Both. Just depends where you feel comfortable with. So because we need exposure for our pages, I'm saying let's try and comment on each other's business pages, make an effort to do that to help each other. Otherwise, because not everybody has a page, just go where the conversation is, because I don't want you just sharing anything and just making for the sake of it. If someone has a worthwhile conversation, then go and comment on it. So for example, with Patricia, I made a special, because she was posting stuff during lockdown where there was things that one could think about and comment on. I wasn't posting on her academy page because there wasn't anything for me to engage in. But on her
Yes.
personal profile there was, but I'm still making that connection.
Oh,
But if
okay.
I find that there's something valuable for me to comment on the page, I'm going to go and comment on the page.
Yes. Okay.
Cool. Anything else? And
There's
that's,
still one question that I have.
yeah.
I'm very confused about things. Of course, I'm started marketing for myself, so I've lost all my hair at this point. But the problem is my website and then my social media. I need to separate the two. Now, on my website, you can, but if you do any posts, do you actually put it on your social media with a referral to specific articles or just general what you do?
A combination of both. There's no hard and fast rule. So sometimes you just post on social media because you feel inspired to post something short and sweet. But you want to kind of combine, because it's all about brand building. So you have to kind of have a balance. What you don't want is to be writing or putting your stuff all on social media, and then one day you wake up and Facebook has decided to ban you for some reason, like a lot of people have been experiencing lately. And then it's like, well, now no one can get, no one, do you see what I mean? So just do a bit of a balance of both. So write an article, decide to make an effort or commitment to write probably one article a month. And then then on social media, post things that, related to franchising, little tools and little tips, because there's also a place, you can't post 2 lines on an article, but you can post 2 or 3 lines on social media.
But now, social media, do you do a posting on daily? Do you do it weekly? What's the intervals? What's the best?
It's a very difficult
best practice?
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, and that's where I still want to get into Facebook advertising at some point, because that's quite powerful. Robin, in all honesty, I would say do what you can do with the capacity that you have. I initially, the rule was, oh, you must blog 4 times a week. And I tell you what, initially I couldn't blog 4 times a week. And then they were saying, oh, the recommended time is 6 times a day on Facebook or whatever. It's, we humanly not possible. Post what you feel comfortable doing. Try and aim for maybe 3 times a week, once a day. One post 3 times a week, just to get started, to get that momentum.
Can I jump in there, Romani?
Yes.
So a cool thing that I've learned on Facebook is that if you have time, let's say the weekend, Facebook has a function where you can actually delay posts or set days. So maybe that could help for you, Robin, just in case you have time, an hour on a Sunday, and then set days when those actual posts go out. That could help.
That is definitely something you should be doing. There are scheduling tools, and Facebook is one of them that offer that tool. I generally use Hootsuite for that purpose, because then I can just go for all the channels all at once at the same time. So I generally schedule my content like a month in advance, but it also depends what it is I'm sharing. So if it's my articles, then I would schedule that almost like a month in advance, whatever I'm promoting, my advertising campaigns. But when I'm just posting on a daily basis or looking for conversations to share, then that would be in the hour, in the moment.
Okay, can I just say one thing? I use Blog to Social at the moment, and I'm setting up the scheduling of it. So you're saying 3 times a week at minimum. What I've been doing is built a database of lots of ads, which I can then post on different days or times or whatever. But they post it to all the social media platforms.
Then that's
So
fine.
is that, so you say
You
3
can
times a
post,
week?
I mean, if you've got a lot of content to work with, I'm more referring to someone that has no content. You know, if you've, it's not always easy just to go and write an article. You know what I mean? It's not always
Yeah.
easy just to, you know, you got to feel inspired, you got to feel a moment. So if you've got a lot of content to share, you can make it every day if you like, and then just sit there and schedule your content. Like Darren suggested, one day of the week, you take an hour and just schedule content so you know that it's all out there and done. I used to have a very funny joke many, many years ago when social media was very new in the marketplace, and I'd attend networking events and I'd go, and people, I can't remember how we got into the conversation, but I'd say, well, you know, I'm actually tweeting while I'm speaking to you. And people go, huh? Because they don't see me with a phone in my hand. They don't see me with it. How can you be tweeting while you're talking to me, you know, sort of thing. But that's because I pre-plan my content and I'd scheduled it so that when I'm away from my desk, when I'm busy with something else, that something is continuously raising my visibility while I'm out there. Does that answer your question? Hello? Okay, cool. All right, so if that's covering everything, anybody got any other questions before we close? Don't want to keep anybody much longer. Thank you for joining and thank you for being here today. I hope it has helped everybody. I hope you've got some tools to walk away with, things to think about and stuff to use. And yeah, please just fill in your, as I ask, please fill in the, what do you call it? The survey. I'm going to post it in the chat box. And then let's close the meeting for the day.
Thank you very much. That helped a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Romany.
Agreed, Teresa, we do. And that's why I set up the social network, which I need to get you registered on. So you and I need to spend some time doing that, because then we have a list of members, who they are, what they do. And that's why it's important to complete our profile so we can get to know each other. So that when, you know, you can go and like their fan pages, like their stuff, because, you know, I can't be saying, yeah, so that's what that purpose is for. So you and I will have that discussion in the week. Going forward, just please nudge me, because at the moment I'm just really, this week I know I'm a bit backlogged. I had 2 days where everything just had to go wrong, and so now I have to play catch up. But yes, certainly next week or over the weekend, if you've got time, Teresa, then you and I can sit and get that set up. And then Patricia as well, if you need Dimacats or something to update your profile or to put in your profile, let's do that, because we need to start making that happen.
Okay, I'll update there. Thanks, Romany.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to leave. Unfortunately, I have to go somewhere.
Yes, no, absolutely. Thank
Bye-bye
you.
and thank you.
Romany, how did you get the moon behind you, of the earth behind you?
It's in your video settings.
In video, oh, mine's not working, so I'll have to check when it's working again.
Okay, yeah, it's in your video settings, and then it's got an option there, background and filters, and you can upload, so you can even upload your company logo if you want. You can see, unfortunately,
Oh, awesome.
Unfortunately, that's the only thing that it does. It can, but yeah.
Cool, thank you. Next time I'll be on screen.
Excellent. Look forward to
Bye.
it. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, cheers, guys. See you next
Bye.
time.
Bye, Errol.
Cheers.
Goodbye, everybody, and thank you, Romany.
Thank you, Darren.